The stars stretched endlessly outside Commander Ryan's cockpit window, cold and silent. His small patrol ship, the Horizon, drifted through the dark edges of known space far beyond the last human colony. It was supposed to be a quiet mission, just another lonely patrol checking for rogue signals or broken satellites. Ryan had done this 100 times before, yet tonight felt different. Something in the air felt heavier, like the universe itself was holding its breath. He sat back in his seat, eyes half closed, the hum of the engine steady behind him. Then a faint sound broke the silence, a small blip on the radar screen. At first he thought it was static, but the blip came again, sharper this time. His console began to flash a red symbol, an unknown distress signal, weak and repeating. Ryan frowned, leaning closer. The code didn't match any human database. It wasn't military, not civilian, not even from the known Alliance languages. It was something else. Computer, source of signal, he ordered. The ship's AI responded in a calm female voice. Signal origin detected Sector Epsilon 9 near the dying star Virex. Caution, gravitational instability present. Ryan hesitated only for a second. Every instinct told him to ignore it, to log the signal and move on. But something inside him whispered differently. A dying signal near a dying star. It sounded like a call for help, a voice lost in the void. And Ryan had never been good at turning away from voices in trouble. Set course for Virex, he said quietly. The ship turned, engines flaring blue as it entered faster than light speed. The stars stretched into silver lines and the darkness swallowed him whole. Hours passed. The closer he got, the more unstable his systems became. The dying star filled the window, a massive red giant collapsing on itself, waves of radiation pulsing out like the heartbeat of a dying god. His instruments flickered. The distress signal grew stronger, repeating faster now as if begging him to hurry. "Computer, can you translate?" he asked. The AI tried, its voice breaking with static. "Signal pattern, unknown syntax, possible life support beacon. Vital signs detected." Ryan's heart raced. Someone was out there. Alive. He pushed the throttle forward, ignoring the warning lights flashing on his dashboard. The ship dove through debris, broken metal, shattered glass, pieces of ships long dead. The field looked like a graveyard floating in firelight, and then he saw it. A small pod spinning slowly in the darkness, half buried in wreckage. The distress beacon came from that pod. Ryan activated the grappling arm and pulled the pod into his hangar bay. As soon as it locked in, his ship groaned under the pressure. He hurried down to the lower deck, air rushing around him as the doors slid open. Inside the pod, frost covered the glass, but through it he saw a faint blue glow. He wiped the glass with his glove and froze. Inside lay a woman, or something close to one. Her skin shimmered silver blue under the emergency lights, her hair floating like threads of light. She wasn't human, yet something about her face felt familiar, peaceful and broken at the same time. Tubes connected her to a dying power core. Her pulse was weak, barely there. "Computer, scan her vitals," he said, voice tight. "Life signs critical. Oxygen failing. Cellular decay in progress." Ryan didn't think twice. He unlocked the pod and lifted her out carefully. Her body was lighter than he expected, almost weightless, her warmth faint but real. He carried her to the med bay, laying her on the table. The ship's lights flickered as he connected her to human life support systems. The AI warned again. "Incompatible biology. Human systems may not sustain alien physiology." Ryan gritted his teeth. "We'll make it work." He rerouted oxygen lines, increased temperature levels, adjusted chemical ratios, anything to keep her alive. Her chest moved slightly, then stopped. Panic shot through him. He slammed his hand on the console. "Come on, breathe." For a moment, nothing happened. Then with a sudden gasp, her body shuddered. Her eyes opened, bright, shining like two small galaxies. She stared at him without fear, only confusion and something else, a strange recognition. Her lips moved slowly, whispering words he couldn't understand. But then one sound came clear through the static of her breath. "Ryan." He froze. She had spoken his name. But how could she know it? Before he could ask, the ship's alarm screamed. "Warning, multiple signals approaching. Unknown ships entering range." Ryan looked at the radar, 3 blips closing fast. Whoever had attacked her ship had found her again. He turned to the woman, still breathing weakly, and whispered, "Hang in there, I'll protect you." He ran back to the cockpit, hands flying over the controls. Outside, the dying star's red light burned across the hull, and the enemy ships appeared, dark silhouettes with glowing blue engines. They began to lock weapons. "Computer, raise shields," he ordered. "Shields at 60%, engines unstable." "Doesn't matter," he said. "We're not dying today." The ship surged forward, weaving through asteroid debris. Lasers cut through the void behind him, sparks flashing across his wing. His heart pounded, but he didn't look back. He couldn't. Not now. In the med bay, the alien woman lay still, her eyes half open, watching the chaos through the glass reflection. For a moment, her lips curved into a faint smile, and a soft light spread from her chest to the rest of her body, pulsing in rhythm with the ship's heartbeat. Somewhere deep in his mind, Ryan felt it, a connection, unseen but real, as if their lives had become tied together from the moment he pulled her from the void. And as the battle began outside, one thought burned in his mind. This was no random rescue. This was fate. The ship drifted through space like a wounded bird, its engines dim and trembling. Commander Ryan's hands gripped the controls as warning lights flashed across the screen. He had escaped the enemy fire, but not without damage. The Horizon's hull was cracked, oxygen levels were falling, and somewhere behind him the alien woman he had saved was still fighting for life. He glanced back toward the medbay camera feed. She lay motionless under the soft blue lights, her silver skin glowing faintly like moonlight on water. The life support hissed in uneven rhythm, struggling to keep her alive. Ryan felt a tightness in his chest, the kind that comes when a stranger's fate suddenly feels personal. He reset the course and set the ship to autopilot, then hurried down the narrow passageway to the med bay. The air smelled of burned circuits and medicine. He knelt beside her and checked the monitors. Her pulse was faint but steady. That alone felt like victory. Her hair floated slightly in the air, thin strands shining like threads of light. Her face was calm but fragile, as if one wrong move could break her. Ryan wiped the sweat from his forehead and whispered to himself, "You're still breathing, that's what matters." He adjusted the settings again, lowering pressure, rerouting power to life support. Every decision drained energy from other systems, but he didn't care. Outside the window, the dying star of Virex pulsed red, sending waves of light across her pale skin. For a moment, the glow seemed to answer it, like two flames recognizing each other. Then she moved. Her fingers twitched, slow at first, then steady. Her lips parted as if she was tasting air for the first time. Ryan leaned closer, watching carefully. Her eyes opened and met his. They were unlike anything human, deep silver swirling with faint patterns of light. She didn't look afraid, only confused, as if trying to remember where she was. Ryan spoke softly. "You're safe now, you're on my ship, try not to move." Her voice came weak, almost like music carried on wind. "You saved me." He nodded, unsure if she could understand him fully. "Yeah, I did what anyone would do." She blinked slowly, her gaze steady on his face. "Not anyone." Ryan didn't know what to say to that. He looked away, pretending to check the monitors again. She studied him, her eyes searching as if trying to connect pieces of a memory. Then she spoke again, this time clearer. "Ryan!" The sound of his name made him turn sharply. His stomach tightened. "How do you know my name?" She seemed puzzled too, whispering, "I don't know." The lights flickered again, drawing his attention back to the controls. The ship's AI spoke, its voice calm but serious, warning energy levels decreasing rapidly. "Suggest recharging main core or emergency shutdown." Ryan cursed under his breath and ran diagnostics. The damage from the chase was worse than he thought. They couldn't jump to any station, not in this condition. He'd have to find a nearby asteroid base to repair and hide. He turned back to the woman, her eyes still fixed on him. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, as if the question carried weight. "Leora." The name felt soft yet powerful, like something ancient. Ryan nodded. "All right, Leora, you rest, I'll keep us alive." As he turned to leave, she reached out weakly and caught his hand. Her touch was warm but strange, like a pulse of gentle electricity. His skin tingled. She looked at him with eyes full of something between fear and gratitude. "They will come," she said. "Who?" Her gaze drifted to the window, to the red glow of the dying star. "Hunters. They destroyed my ship. They want what I carry." Ryan frowned. "What is it?" She looked back at him, her voice low. "A bond older than your world, a promise I must keep even if it kills me." Before he could ask more, the ship trembled. The radar beeped again. Two faint signals appeared at the edge of the system. They were searching, scanning. Ryan rushed to the cockpit. The ship was running low on energy, and the shields were still weak. If they found him now, they were done. He spoke quickly to the AI. Divert all power to stealth mode, shut down external heat signature. The lights dimmed, the engines hummed softly, and silence fell. He watched the radar as the two ships moved closer, then stopped. For a long moment, he held his breath. The enemy ships scanned the area, then drifted away, fooled by the dying star's interference. Ryan exhaled slowly, leaning back in his seat. When he looked at the camera feed again, Leora was sitting up, watching him through the med bay lens. Her expression was calm, almost knowing. For the first time, she smiled. Ryan didn't understand it yet, but something inside him changed in that moment. Saving her had been instinct, but keeping her alive was becoming something more. He didn't know who she really was or why danger followed her. Only that fate had tied them together. As the ship floated silently through the endless dark, Leora whispered to herself in a language he couldn't hear. A faint light spread from her chest, flowing into the ship's walls, and for a brief second, the engines pulsed back to life as if answering her call. Ryan didn't see it happen, but deep in space, something old and powerful had awakened, and it had just noticed that one human had broken the silence of the stars. The next hours passed in uneasy silence. Commander Ryan sat in the cockpit watching stars drift by, the ship still trembling from earlier damage. His body wanted rest, but his mind wouldn't slow down. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face, silver light on pale skin, eyes that looked like distant galaxies. She was alive now, breathing normally, her heartbeat steady, yet her presence filled the entire ship like a soft echo that refused to fade. The AI reported that most systems were stable, but fuel and power were still low. Ryan adjusted the course toward a small asteroid belt where he could hide and make repairs. As the ship glided through the quiet dark, he found himself glancing again and again at the medbay feed. Leora was awake now, sitting upright, her hand resting over the glowing mark at the center of her chest. It pulsed faintly in rhythm with the hum of the ship. He finally went to see her. The medbay felt warmer than before, though he hadn't raised the temperature. The air carried a faint scent like rain on metal. She looked up as he entered, her expression calm but curious. "You should rest," Ryan said softly. Her voice was clearer now, smooth and melodic. "I have rested enough. You risked much for me." He shrugged slightly. "You were dying. I did what anyone would do." She shook her head slowly. "Not anyone. You gave life from your ship, you gave air from your lungs. You crossed a dying star to save me. That choice has meaning." Ryan tried to smile, but it came uneasy. "Meaning or not, I just couldn't watch someone fade out there." Her gaze held his. "Among my people, such an act cannot be left unpaid." He frowned. "You mean a reward?" Her head tilted gently. "No, a bond." The word settled in the air like a weight. Ryan crossed his arms, uncertain. "A bond? What kind of bond?" Leora's silver eyes flickered with emotion. "Life for life. When one saves another, a sacred tie forms between them. In my world, it is called the union of breath. It is not just gratitude. It is a promise that our lives are now joined. Your heartbeat and mine, one path." Ryan felt a chill crawl up his spine. "That sounds permanent," she nodded once. "It is." He tried to laugh, but it came out dry. "I didn't sign up for a space marriage." Her expression didn't change. "It is not a choice. It is law written in the oldest light." He stared at her, searching for any sign of humor, but found none. The seriousness in her eyes unsettled him more than any alien weapon could. "All right," he said finally, trying to reason. "Your people, your rules, I get that, but you're the last of your kind, right? So maybe we can skip the ceremony." Her voice grew quiet. "The law of the Union does not fade, even if only one remains to remember it." Before he could answer, the ship's alarm broke the tension. A red light flashed across the wall, and the AI's voice echoed through the cabin. "Warning, unknown transmission detected. Origin unidentified." Ryan ran to the console. The signal came through faint but steady, coded in the same strange pattern as before. Leora stood beside him, her face pale. "They have found us." He looked at her sharply. "The ones who attacked your ship?" She nodded. "Hunters. They serve the one who destroyed my world. They follow the energy of my bond. They know I live." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Then we better move." He activated the engines, pushing the ship toward the asteroid field ahead. The space around them filled with streaks of light as enemy craft appeared behind, firing plasma shots that grazed the hull. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Ryan fought the controls, maneuvering through floating rocks and debris. Leora placed her hand on the main console, her skin glowing brighter. The systems responded instantly, stabilizing the ship. Power readings jumped. The engines roared stronger than before. Ryan looked at her in shock. "What did you do?" Her voice was calm. "The bond connects us. When I give energy, your ship listens to both of us." Together they dodged another volley, sliding behind a massive asteroid. The enemy ship circled, searching but unable to locate them among the dense rocks. Ryan shut down all external signals again. The radar went quiet. Only the faint sound of their breathing filled the cockpit. He turned to her, heart still racing. "That was close." She looked at him with a faint smile. "Our bond protected us. It always will." He leaned back, still trying to process it all. "You really believe that, don't you?" Her gaze softened. "Belief is not needed, Ryan. The bond is truth. You saved me and now our lives are one. If you die, I die. If I live, you live." Her words settled deep in his mind, and for a moment he didn't know whether to feel honored or terrified. He watched her turn away, light fading slowly from her skin, and realized that his life had changed forever in ways he couldn't yet see. Outside, the red light of the dying star faded into blackness, but something unseen connected them now, a thread of energy that no weapon could cut. And somewhere far beyond the stars, the hunters began to move again, following the bond that had just been formed. The horizon moved silently through the dark sea of stars. Its lights dimmed, engines whispering instead of roaring. Commander Ryan sat tense at the controls, every sense alert. The memory of the last attack still echoed through the ship. His hands ached from gripping the flight sticks, and his mind replayed the same question again and again. Who were these hunters, and why did they want Leora so badly? Behind him, in the soft glow of the medbay, Leora stood near the viewing glass, her eyes fixed on the endless void outside. The light from distant stars reflected off her silver skin, making her seem like part of the cosmos itself. Her energy was returning, but her silence carried weight. Ryan could feel it even without looking. She was hiding something too heavy to speak. He turned from the console and joined her. "They're gone for now," he said, though his voice lacked confidence. "But they'll be back." She nodded slowly, not taking her eyes off the stars. "They never stop. Once a bond is made, it shines like a beacon to them. They will follow until one of us ends." Ryan frowned. "Then we end them first." Her gaze shifted toward him, curious. "You speak as if victory is simple." He gave a tired smile. "Nothing about this is simple, but running isn't an option." Before she could answer, the AI's voice broke in. "Multiple energy signatures detected. Distance 12,000 units and closing fast." Ryan's heart sank. "Already?" The radar confirmed it. 3 hunter crafts again, sharper and faster than before. Their formation spread like blades slicing through space. He jumped into the pilot's seat and powered up the engines. "Hold on," he warned. The horizon shot forward, weaving through the asteroid field ahead. Rocks floated like giant shadows, their surfaces glowing faintly from the nearby star's dying light. The hunters followed close, beams of blue energy streaking past. Ryan spun the ship between narrow gaps, metal scraping against stone. The entire vessel shuddered, alarms wailing. "Shields at 40%, the AI reported. Ryan cursed under his breath and turned sharply around a massive asteroid. One enemy ship collided with debris and exploded in a burst of light. The other 2 adjusted their path quickly, closing in tighter. Leora stepped beside him and placed her glowing hand over the control panel again. Instantly, the dashboard filled with streams of alien symbols, the light stabilizing. "I can guide the ship," she said. "Trust me." He hesitated only for a second before nodding. "Do it," she closed her eyes. Her energy flowed into the system, merging with the ship's circuits. The engines pulsed stronger, faster, responding to her will. Ryan felt the controls lighten under his grip as if the ship had gained a mind of its own. They moved together, man and alien, turning at impossible angles through floating rock and ice. The hunters tried to keep up, but Leora's control was beyond anything they understood. With each maneuver, the horizon became a blur of silver and blue, weaving through death itself. Finally, she raised her other hand, and a wave of pure light burst from the back of the ship, blinding the scanners of the pursuers. Their systems overloaded, one spinning out of control and smashing into an asteroid, vanishing in fire. Only one hunter ship remained, larger and more dangerous than the rest. It fired a long beam that grazed the horizon's side, sending sparks across the control room. The impact threw Ryan from his seat, pain shooting through his shoulder. Leora reached for him, helping him up, her voice steady even in chaos. "Stay with me, Ryan, the bond will hold." He gritted his teeth and pulled himself back into position. "Let's finish this." Leora extended her hand toward the window. The stars outside blurred, bending around them as the energy of her body merged with the ship's core. A bright sphere formed behind them, glowing with the color of her pulse. "Now," she said softly. Ryan hit the ignition and the horizon released the energy in one sudden burst. The explosion of light expanded outward, swallowing the last hunter ship in silence. The radar went clear. For a long moment there was only breathing and the soft hum of cooling engines. Ryan slumped back in his seat, exhausted but alive. Leora leaned against the wall, her glow fading to a gentle shimmer. He looked at her through heavy eyes. "You just turned my ship into a weapon." She gave a faint smile. "The bond allows us to share strength. You fly, I guide. Together we are something neither of us could be alone." He didn't know what to say to that. He just nodded, still catching his breath. The AI reported damage but confirmed that all threats were gone. Outside the window, the asteroid field drifted slowly under the faint red light of the dying star. As silence returned, Ryan noticed something strange on his console. A new symbol glowing softly where the radar had been, a spiral moving in rhythm with his heartbeat. Leora saw it too and whispered, "The mark of the Union. It grows stronger." He looked at her, eyes narrowing slightly. "What happens when it's complete?" She met his gaze, her voice calm but sad. "When the bond reaches its full circle, destiny decides who pays the price." Ryan didn't understand, but deep down he felt the meaning wasn't good. Outside, the last fragments of the destroyed hunter ship floated like ashes, and the universe seemed to hold its breath again. The hunt was over, but the real chase had only begun. The horizon floated in silence after the storm of battle, its lights flickering weakly like the heartbeat of a tired creature. Commander Ryan sat in the cockpit, eyes half open, trying to breathe normally again. Every muscle ached. Every sound in the ship felt heavier than before. Yet beneath all that exhaustion was a strange calm. They had survived. Leora stood behind him, quiet, her silver glow softer now but still alive. Her energy had saved them again, yet Ryan noticed the cost. Her light was dimmer than before, her steps slower, her voice quieter. When she finally spoke, it was almost a whisper. "The hunters will return. The bond hides us for a while, but not forever." Ryan turned the chair toward her, concern visible in his eyes. "Then we find a place they can't reach, a place to repair, to rest." She nodded slowly, her gaze shifting toward the star map. Her hand moved gently across the screen, and the projection shifted until a faint blue planet appeared at the edge of known space. It looked forgotten, wrapped in mist, surrounded by glowing rings of dust. "There," she said softly. "This was once my home." Ryan studied the image, surprise written on his face. "Your home world? I thought you said it was destroyed." Her eyes darkened. "It was. What remains is only a shadow of what once lived, a silent grave. But it may still hold what we need." He didn't hesitate. "Set the course." The ship turned toward the coordinates, engines humming weakly. Hours passed as the stars drifted by, and then the planet came into view. It was beautiful and haunting all at once. Giant floating rocks drifted through the thin atmosphere, and the surface shimmered with blue mist. Towers of glass and stone rose from broken ground, glowing faintly under a pale light. The planet looked alive yet frozen in time. Ryan guided the ship through the rings of dust and landed gently on a flat surface near what seemed like a city in ruins. The moment they stepped outside, the air felt heavy, not with poison but with memory. Every sound echoed softly, like whispers of something ancient. The sky was dim, and silver clouds drifted low, reflecting their own faint light. Leora walked ahead, barefoot on cracked ground, her eyes scanning every broken wall and silent archway. Ryan followed close behind, his boots crunching against crystal fragments scattered across the ground. The ruins around them seemed to hum faintly with energy. It was as if the place still remembered its people, This was the city of Elian, Leora said softly, our capital. My people built it with thought and light, not stone and metal. Every wall once sang with power, every tower reached the stars. Ryan looked around in awe. It's still standing after all this time. She smiled faintly. Because it refuses to forget. They reached a large hall half buried in dust and vines. Inside stood a structure made of silver stone, smooth and glowing faintly with blue light. In its center, a crystal pulsed slowly like a sleeping heart. Ryan stepped closer, fascinated. What is this? Leora approached the crystal, her hand hovering above it. The core of Alien, the last source of life energy from my people. It can heal worlds, restart suns, even awaken what is lost. Ryan's eyes widened. Then this could save you, your race. She nodded, but her face showed no joy. It can also destroy what remains if used without purpose. The core demands a living bond to awaken, a life willingly given to ignite its light. Ryan understood at once. You mean someone has to die? She looked down. Yes, that was the law of balance. One life to restore another. My people believe the universe demands equal exchange. Ryan shook his head. No, there has to be another way. Leora placed her hand on the crystal and it responded with a pulse of light that filled the hall. Ancient symbols glowed along the walls, and for a moment Ryan saw images flash before his eyes. Cities alive with golden skies, children of light dancing, laughter echoing through the stars. Then fire, destruction, and darkness swallowing everything. When the vision faded, Leora's voice trembled. This is what I lost. This is what they took from us. If the core awakens, maybe I can restore what was destroyed. He stepped closer, voice firm. But not if it costs you. Her eyes met his, filled with sadness and something deeper. You would stop me even if it could save a world. He didn't look away. I didn't come this far to watch you die. For a moment, neither spoke. The air buzzed softly with the sound of distant energy. Leora turned her gaze back to the core, her reflection glowing within it. The bond between us was never chance, Ryan. Maybe the universe joined us because it knew one of us would have to decide. He wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. The silence between them said everything. As they stood there, the core pulsed once more, brighter this time. Its energy spread through the ruins, awakening lights that had been dead for centuries. Outside, the sky shifted color, turning deep blue as if the planet itself was breathing again. Ryan didn't notice the small symbol appearing on his hand, glowing faintly in the same rhythm as Leora's chest. The bond had grown stronger, linking them not just in life but in destiny. And far away, in the dark corners of space, the hunters saw the flash of that energy, a signal like a flare in the night, and began to move again. Faster, angrier, unstoppable. The hidden world had awakened, but with it came the price that neither of them yet understood. The ancient city of Alien stood silent beneath the pale light of its dying sky. The air hummed with a strange energy as the core in the great hall pulsed brighter with each passing minute. Commander Ryan stood before it, his face lit by the blue glow. The entire room vibrated softly, like the planet was waking from a long sleep. Behind him, Leora watched in silence, her hands clasped together, her silver hair drifting in the charged air. Ryan turned to her, his voice steady but low. You said the core needs a life to awaken. You're not really thinking of giving yours, are you? She didn't answer at first. Her eyes were distant, full of memories. When our world fell, the core was sealed to protect the last spark of our kind. It was my duty to guard it, to give my life when the time came. That time is now. He stepped closer, shaking his head. No, not while I'm here. We'll find another way. Her gaze softened, almost kind. You don't understand. The bond between us makes my fate tied to yours. If I die, the core awakens. If you die, it dies with me. It demands balance, not power. It seeks choice. Ryan frowned. Then I choose life. For both of us. The core answered with a louder pulse, its light filling the hall, crawling along the floor like liquid stars. Symbols began to move across the walls. Ancient language forming patterns Ryan couldn't read. The air grew heavier, humming with power. Leora stepped forward, standing before the core. It has already chosen. The bond is ready. Ryan grabbed her wrist. No, you've lost enough. You're not doing this. Her hand trembled in his grip, her voice quiet but unbroken. You cannot stop destiny, Ryan. When you saved me, you accepted the price, even if you didn't know it. The bond was written the moment our lives touched. He refused to let go.
Destiny doesn't decide who lives.
We do. Outside, thunder rolled through the clouds and the ground trembled as the hunters entered the planet's orbit. Their ships glowed red in the dark sky, cutting through the mist like blades. The AI's voice broke through the noise of the storm. Multiple enemy signals detected. Impact in 3 minutes, Ryan's heart pounded. They're here again. Leora looked toward the ceiling, sensing the danger. They've come for the core. If they destroy it, everything ends. Not just this planet, but the light of every world connected to it. Ryan moved to the controls built into the hall's floor, activating the defense shields around the structure. Then we fight. Leora placed a hand on his shoulder. You cannot fight them all. The only way to stop them is to complete the bond and awaken the core. Its energy will protect this world. He turned to face her, anger and fear mixing in his voice. You mean sacrifice? You mean lose you? Her eyes glowed softly. Every creation demands sacrifice, Ryan. You taught me that when you gave your oxygen, when you shared your strength. Now it is my turn. The hunters' ships began firing. Explosions shook the outer walls, dust falling from the ceiling. Ryan ran to the console, trying to stabilize the barrier. Leora, wait, just give me time. She stepped toward the core, her glow returning, brighter than ever. Time is what we never have enough of. He turned to her, desperate. If you do this, the bond kills me too, she smiled sadly. Not if I give you my place. Before he could move, she pressed her glowing palm against his chest. Warm light spread through his body, stealing his breath. He felt the bond surge between them, threads of energy wrapping around his heart. She whispered softly, You gave me life once, now I give it back. Ryan's vision blurred as the core roared to life. The walls cracked, the sky outside split open with white fire. Leora stepped into the light, her body dissolving into streams of energy that flowed into the crystal heart. Her voice echoed through the hall, calm and pure. The bond completes and the balance is kept. Ryan shouted her name, but his voice vanished in the roar of energy. A wave of light burst outward, sweeping across the city, through the mountains, up into the sky. The hunter ships disintegrated before the brilliance, swallowed by the light. The dying planet trembled once, then grew still. When the glow finally faded, the core stood silent again, now shining with steady life. The air was clear, the ground no longer cracked. Alien lived once more. Ryan lay on the floor gasping, his vision returning slowly. The mark on his hand still glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with a heartbeat that was not his own. He whispered her name again, quieter this time. Leora. The air shimmered, and for a brief moment he saw her standing near the core, smiling. Her form was light now, part of the energy that filled the hall. Her voice came softly, carried by the wind. You kept your promise. The bond lives within you now. Ryan reached out, but she was gone, her glow merging with the core, her essence scattered across the world she had saved. Outside, the clouds parted for the first time in centuries, and sunlight touched the ruins of Alien. The world was reborn. But Ryan felt only silence in his heart. The choice had been made, and with it, the universe had changed. The sun rose over the reborn world of Alien, golden light washing across the broken towers and glowing rivers that now ran clear again. The air was warm, soft with the hum of new life. Commander Ryan stood at the edge of the ancient city, looking toward the horizon where blue skies stretched endless and quiet. He had seen the world die and return to life, but the silence that followed felt heavier than the battle itself. The core still pulsed in the distance, steady and bright like a living heart at the center of the planet. It was beautiful, yet every beat reminded him of the cost. Leora's voice still echoed faintly in his mind, a whisper that never faded completely. She had become part of the world she loved, the light that now filled every corner of this place. But to Ryan, the silence left by her absence felt deeper than space itself. He wandered through the ruins that no longer looked dead. Plants had begun to grow again, soft blue vines creeping along silver walls. The air shimmered with faint particles of energy that floated like dust in sunlight. He could almost feel her presence in every gust of wind. The AI's voice broke the quiet. Life signs across the planet have stabilized. Atmospheric levels normal. Energy balance sustained. You have succeeded, Commander. He looked up toward the faint light of the core. We succeeded, he said softly. She did. The AI paused, its tone gentler. The bond between you remains active. Energy readings suggest continued connection with the core. Ryan glanced down at his hand. The mark still glowed faintly, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. It didn't hurt, but it reminded him he wasn't alone. He could feel her somewhere within that light watching. He whispered, "You're still here, aren't you?" The wind answered, soft and warm, carrying a faint hum that made the air vibrate around him. He didn't know if it was real or just the echo of memory, but he smiled anyway. Days passed. Ryan repaired the horizon, though part of him wondered if he should leave it all. The world was healing, its oceans shimmering like mirrors, its skies alive with energy. He felt peace here, but also a strange pull, as if something awaited beyond the stars. On the 7th day, while he was checking the ship's systems, the AI spoke again. Unidentified energy surge detected. Origin, the core. Ryan rushed outside. The ground trembled softly, the light from the core growing brighter, stretching upward like a beam into the sky. He shielded his eyes as shapes began to form within the light. Figures of pure energy, tall and graceful, their forms familiar to Leora's kind. He stepped closer, heart pounding. The figures glowed brighter, their voices merging in a soft tone that sounded like music. Then one of them stepped forward, her light gentler, her presence unmistakable. "Leora," Ryan breathed. Her form shimmered like glass and flame. "Ryan," she said, her voice soft but strong. "You kept the balance. Because of you, my people live again." The core restored their essence. "The light that was lost has returned." He stared in disbelief. "You're alive." "Not as before," she said. "But I am part of this world now. My body is gone, but my soul remains bound to the light. The bond we share kept me from fading. You carried me in your heart, and through it I found the way back." Ryan took a slow step forward. "Can you ever come back?" "To me," she looked at him with gentle sadness, "I am already with you. Every breath this planet takes, every ray of light that touches your face is me. But your path lies beyond this place. You must return to your world, carry this story. Remind your kind that even in darkness, connection is the strongest power of all." He swallowed hard. "Leaving means losing you again," she smiled faintly. "You could never lose me." "Our bond made sure of that. When you look at the stars, I will be there. When you breathe, I will hear it. When you dream, I will see it." The wind lifted around them, carrying her light higher as the other energy forms rose toward the sky. The core blazed once more, brighter than ever, and the sky filled with trails of silver light spreading across the atmosphere like wings of fire. Ryan stood still, eyes reflecting the glow. For the first time, he felt peace. Not the peace of an ending, but the peace of knowing something eternal had been created. He whispered into the wind, "Goodbye, Leora." Her voice answered softly, fading into the light. "No goodbye, only always." As the glow dimmed and silence returned, Ryan turned toward the horizon. The ship stood ready, its surface reflecting the golden dawn. He looked one last time at the world that had become both grave and home, then stepped aboard. As the engines roared to life, the mark on his hand pulsed once more, bright and calm. The horizon lifted into the sky, leaving behind the shining world that now thrived under a new sun. From space, Alien glowed like a jewel, its light stretching far across the void. In the quiet hum of the ship, Ryan closed his eyes and smiled. He could still feel her presence, gentle and constant, like the rhythm of his own heartbeat. And somewhere within that endless sea of stars, two lives that were once strangers remained bound forever, not by chance, but by choice. The eternal bond between human courage and alien light.